Hello ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolescence and welcome back to another fragrance review. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And in this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at a fragrance by the company Christian Dior, and this one is called Poison Girl, so stay tuned. Now, Poison Girl was composed by Francois Demachy, who happens to be the in-house perfumer for Christian Dior. This fragrance was released in January of 2016, so it has been on the market for well over a year now. And this particular fragrance was geared more towards the young sort of pop-esque girl. It's a little bit more youthful and contemporary than its predecessor. And the original was actually released back in 1985. It was composed by Edward Flechier. And then a few years later, my favorite flanker was released. That one is Hypnotic Poison. That one had a very strong note of almond. It was composed by Annick Minardo. And then this one, many years later, and 17 flankers later, Poison Girl. So let's go ahead and start talking about this one. It is an Oriental vanilla. I want to start things off by taking a look at the presentation. Now, the presentation for this one is very nice. You have this mirror-esque image here on the front with the name of the fragrance. You open up the box and it comes in a smaller box on the inside. It also has a little bit of a graphic here. It says, "I am not a girl, I am poison." A little quirky and witty. Some epigram for you. And then here you have the bottle. Again, an homage to the original. I love the color combination that it's black at the bottom and it becomes pink, very youthful and contemporary. You have a sticker with your information down here at the bottom. The cap does click into place and the atomizer works really, really well. You can also control how much you spray depending on how hard you press. And that was the presentation for Poison Girl by Dior. Now, what you're going to get from this fragrance as soon as you spray it on your skin is that sweet tonka bean note. It's very similar to what you're going to smell in Fève Délicieuse. Of course, the perfumer is exactly the same. You're going to have Francois Demachy, but with this fragrance, it's compounded with a note of vanilla and almond. Now, whenever we're talking about vanilla and almond, you're really hitting home because those are two of my favorite notes. It smells sweet, gourmand-esque, but I like this one because it's not overly sweet. I think we're seeing a lot of other fragrances that are geared towards a younger demographic. I'm thinking of fragrances like Aquilina's Pink Sugar with the cotton candy vibe, and then you have some other celebrity scents that are veering on, you know, tooth-decayingly sweet. This one is not tooth-decayingly sweet. This one is tastefully sweet. And what I like about it, it is compounded with these other notes. Like, so in addition to the Venezuelan tonka bean, you also have, I believe, a Damascus rose note. You do have cashmeran in the base, which adds a smooth, creamy feel to the composition. And I think the tonka bean also contributes to that creaminess very, very well. What I like about this one, it's creamy and it's sort of hints at the fact that it's going to get powdery, but it doesn't really get powdery. Listen, I think this is a great fragrance. It's great for if you're going out to a party or a club, you just want to come off as sort of sensual and flirty. It is a flirtatious scent, and I like that it's sweet without being overly sweet. It's youthful, it's contemporary, but it's also a very nice nod and homage to its predecessor. Now, I know when you look at the note breakdown, there are a lot of fragrances that you can make a comparison to. The ones that came to my mind are, of course, L'Homme Idéal by Guerlain. That also has vanilla and almond. Also, Pegasus by Parfum de Marly. That also has vanilla and almond. This one, on the other hand, does smell a little bit like its predecessor. It's nowhere near as heavy on the almond. This smells like a lighter, more transparent and floral version of Fève Délicieuse by Christian Dior. It also smells a little bit like tonka bean by Commodity, which is a newer scent, but overall, I really like this scent. It's young, it's sweet, but not overly sweet. It's mildly floral, it's youthful, it's contemporary, it has a sensual quality to it, and it's a tasteful composition. Bravo, Francois Demachy. I really enjoy this one. Let's go ahead and finish the review off by taking a look at my rating. First up, I took a look at the uniqueness in the overall smell, and despite the fact that I did make some comparisons to other popular fragrances, this one is its own fragrance. It stands in its own right. It's different enough to warrant a purchase, and it's also an homage to these other fragrances that I mentioned, all the while consisting of a similar note breakdown, but yet doing things differently. And that's really what impressed me with this fragrance from start to finish. As far as longevity, I did get about 7 to 8 hours on my skin, so the longevity on this one is excellent. However, I must note, I do do get better longevity from Hypnotic Poison and some of their other flankers. I know we have Midnight Poison and Pure Poison and Elixir, and the list goes on and on. Projection on this one is really good for the first 2 hours. It radiates within an arm's length, never larger than that. It starts to sit closer to the skin right about the 5 to 6 hour mark. It becomes a skin scent at the 6 to 7 hour mark. As far as versatility, this one is great. You can wear this one dressed up, dressed down. You can wear this one casually for as long as you can afford it. I think this one would work well in the colder weather just because the performance is good enough to allow for its use in the fall and winter. And I think as far as the compositional nature is concerned, in that it has this sort of pseudo-transparent quality, you can wear this one in the hotter weather as well. I do think, however, that it is catered towards a younger demographic. If you're a little bit older, a little bit more mature and set in your way, a little bit more confident, I think you should check out Midnight Poison, which is probably my favorite variation of them all. And then lastly, we took a look at the presentation. I love the color scheme. I love the presentation. Everything from the iconic bottle, which is a nod and an homage to the 1985 original release. If I had to give this one an overall score, I would give this one a 5 out of 5. Now, it's very difficult for me to give it a score and to try to remain objective, all the while knowing that François Demachy has done other comparable fragrances, Fève Délicieuse being one of them. And of course, I would much rather prefer to wear Fève Délicieuse, but for what they were aiming to do with this scent, I think they hit the nail right on the head. They knocked this one out of the park. I think François Demachy did a fantastic job with this one, and I can see this one selling very, very well. I can see it staying on the shelves for many years to come. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was my review of Poison Girl by Christian Dior. If you own or have tried this fragrance, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to subscribe and remember to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Remember, I smell well so you can smell good, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.